this video, we're going to be talking about components and services and how they work in the OSGI world. Let's first start talking about what exactly is a component. Very simply put, a component is an object that provides some sort of functionality. What that functionality is up to us as developers. When we're creating a component, it's going to be expressed as a Java class, and we're going to use an annotation that will denote that this Java class is a component, right? Just like with our bundles, a component is going to be managed within the OSGI framework. So the component will live inside of a bundle, and then the OSGI framework takes care of the bundle and the component at the same time. Just like a bundle, a component does have a life cycle that goes with it. So a component can be started as well as stopped, just like a bundle. When we're talking about components, we have methods that can manipulate the component's life cycle, just like we saw with the bundle activator a few videos ago. Components can also have configurations within them, so we can define specific properties within the component and change them if we need to. So the question might arise, why do we declare classes as components in the first place? When we have a component, we talked about it being an object that provides functionality, right? That's more or less a service. So components can express themselves as services or OSGI services, and in turn can also consume services as well. So it's a give and take, it goes both ways, right? Components have their own life cycle and they can also be reusable. So you can have a component within this OSGI framework and you can have other bundles pulling or using that component. Because we have properties available, right? They can be configured and they can be configured to what we need them to do. Let's take a look at an example of a component. We can see a very simple class here. It has one method, this activate method, and it just has a print statement here, I am active. What makes the component a component is this annotation right above the class declaration, the @component. Not too much different than what we do in everyday Java. The only difference is that @component annotation to make this class a component. We talked about components being services. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk more about the service registry, but let's get a taste and introduction of what the service registry might help us do. So when we're creating a component as an OSGI service, that component, which lives in a bundle, will then be registered in this thing called the service registry. Very simply put, the service registry is the one keeping track of all of the OSGI services or all of the components that have been registered into the OSGI framework. A component typically implements an interface. In most of what we're going to be seeing, right, components implement interfaces. It's going to be a pattern we see over and over again. So let's take a look at this interface right here. So very simple interface, nothing really special here, right? Employee service is the name. We have two methods, get name and set name. Now we're going to create a component that will implement this service. So in this slide right here, we see the implementation, employee service impl implements employee service. We see the actual implementation of those methods. Again, this feels very much like Java, right? The big difference is what we see up here at the top with this @component annotation. Within the @component annotation, we're defining or we're setting a specific attribute here. We're saying more or less that this component is a service of the employee service. The way I like to think of it is just like what we see in the Java, in the class declaration, right? The component is implementing the employee service interface. That's the way I like to look at it. So this gives us an idea of components. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the service registry and how it helps us with components and OSGI services. So until then, I'll see you in the next video.